All right, I'm getting the alerts. The Chris Naugle started a live video.
All right. It is another week of What the F Happened. This is a weekly show that Steven and I do talking about the craziness going on in the stock market. And I'll tell you, today's show is going to be action-packed because it's been an effed up week out there. I mean, nothing, in my opinion, makes sense. But let's start with the big one that everybody loves to talk about, Bitcoin. Steven, what happened to Bitcoin this week?
I don't know. I saw we've got a big old drop. We fell below 30,000. We're getting a little bounce, but it goes back to it tracks the stock market. Isn't it supposed to be the alternative to the stock market? So we'll get into that a little bit today, I think.
Yeah, we're going to talk about how crypto and Bitcoin and Ethereum and Doge, all those got crushed this week, but we're also going to talk about why, because, it's important not to understand oh my God, Bitcoin's falling. What do I do? Sell. No, don't sell. Buy, because we're trading these very rhythmic patterns, and we're going to get into that, but we're also going to talk about some other things today. Who just went to space, man? Steven, who was it that just went to space? We had two people go to space, but the one I really want to talk about is the one on your mind.
Jeff Bezos.
So here's the cool thing, right? If you're a wealthy individual, you now can wake up in the morning, have your morning coffee, show up to the rocket, jump in the rocket, and, say to your wife, honey, I'll be home for lunch. And you go to space and you come back down. And what is the price tag to do that?
I don't even know, but to become an astronaut, if you got a bunch of money, it's a pretty cool little adventure you can go on, right?
Oh man, it's crazy. It's kind of like, hey honey, me and the guys are going to go play golf. I'll be home at lunch. Now it's, hey honey, me and the guys are going to go to space and I'll be back before lunch. How about that? That is effed up, man. And it's cool though. NASA couldn't figure this out for what? I don't know, however many years, 100, 50, 20 years, whatever you guys want to call it. And, the private enterprises, whether it's Amazon and Jeff Bezos, and what is Jeff Bezos' company? Not Amazon, the space company.
Space City Rockets. What is it? It's
folks, what is it called? I know everybody knows. So we got the comments going on here, but what is that company that he's operating from? It's I want to say SpaceX, but that's Elon. Anyway, it doesn't matter. So, one thing that was in the news that I thought was kind of interesting is Bezos actually, Steven, tell us what's going on with Bezos employees. What did he say? That was a pretty crappy thing that he said to him.
Well, so he came out afterwards during the press conference and they were talking about it. He goes, I just really want to thank all of Amazon's employees and customers, and especially my employees, because you are all the ones who paid for me to be able to fly into space today. So it's a little bit of a F you in the face, since this is what the F happened. It's a little bit of a smack in the face because, as most people know, there's been a lot of news articles lately that Amazon doesn't treat its employees the best way. And that starts with the top with Bezos' leadership. There's been a lot of stories talking about how he purposely stops giving raises and stops giving incentives because he's a believer that after somebody gets in a job for a certain amount of time, they become lazy and they no longer perform at their highest levels. So he'd rather them quit and replace them with new people that will go out there and hustle and try and get those initial raises until they can't get any higher. And he just fluctuates people. And then there's all the stories of the drivers under such strict schedules, they have to pee and poop in bags inside the delivery trucks, and then the workers inside the buildings are tracked and they don't have time to go to the bathroom, that they're running all ass, and there's no excuses for anything. And it's supposed to be a really, really tough work environment. I mean, we can argue whether that's a good or bad, how much he's employing and all that stuff, but the bottom line is the employees over the last year or so have not been happy. There's been a lot, and for him to come out and say, I spent my day going to space, the first person to ever do it, and I want to thank all of your blood and tears to put me there. It's a little bit of an awkward situation there.
You don't say. And just so everybody, thank you, Mark, and Instagram and TikTok for telling me the name of the company. Blue Origin. Blue Origin was the name of the company. I'm going to play something here real quick, and I'm going to share the audio because this will be pretty funny. Steven, you sent this over to me, and I think this is a pretty good one. So let's roll this quick video all about how Bezos thanks his employees and his customers, so his employees and his customers, for paying for his trip to space. You arrogant piece of shit. What the F? Here we go.
Every Amazon employee and every Amazon customer, because you guys paid for all of this.
you kidding me?
So seriously, for every Amazon customer out there and every Amazon employee, thank you from the bottom of my heart.
And you know what his employees are saying? F you, Bezos, you cowboy son of a bitch.
Very much. It's very appreciated.
Oh my God. What does everybody think of that? Like, hey, listen, big accomplishment to him, high five to you, Bezos, for, taking yourself and a bunch of multimillionaires into space for, I think, a 10 or 11-minute trip. Hey, why go to lunch with your buddies when you can actually go to space with your buddies and you don't even need to poop in a bag? So not too bad. But if you look at the Twitter feeds that I'm showing here, his employees aren't really so happy about that. They're actually pretty pissed off. So, just so everybody that's watching this, just so you know, this is what the F happened. Whether you're coming in from YouTube or Facebook, or you're coming in from TikTok or Instagram, we do this show every single Wednesday at 9:30 Eastern, and we have a lot of fun. Sometimes we make some haters out of it because people don't agree and because people just want to believe things, and we're going to get into that today. But before we do that, let's talk about the next topic, Stephen. I think this is I thought this was a joke, dude. I can't lie. Like, I sincerely thought when you sent this to me, this was a freaking joke. So, folks, I want everybody's opinion on this. But, we all know that Monday we had a little bit of a rough day in the stock market. I don't know if you guys can see that. I'll try to make it a little bigger here. This is a Barron's article that was put up. And Monday, the stock market did a crazy ride down of about, it peaked at 900, but I think it settled around, what was it, 700 or 800 points down?
Yeah, 720 something, I believe.
720, which rattled people. They got a little bit nervous. So like, oh my God, is this that big thing, the next Great Depression that Chris Naugle keeps talking about? I'm just kidding. But the Great Depression is coming, and it's going to be way worse. But anyway, we won't get into that quite yet because I've got a hell of a rant that I'm going to go into. But here is Barron's comment to that. So right there, this is 155, Barron's stock alert. Stocks are down because Mondays are a lousy day for the market. I don't even know what to say, dude. Like, I'm hyperventilating. Like, what the F? Really? Mondays are a lousy day for the market? Oh, it has nothing to do with the government saying they're pretty much going to lock the country down again or make everybody wear masks and go back to it because the Delta variant is coming back and we're all going to die. And the unvaccinated should be fighting with the vaccinated. I'm not going to go into that, but like none of that has anything to do with it. The reason the market dropped, according to Barron's article right here, is Mondays are just a lousy day for the market. I know we're not supposed to swear, but seriously, give me an effing break right now.
Look at this. Drew could work for Barron's. He said it even better. The markets have a case of the Mondays. Absolutely, Drew. Absolutely.
Dude, Drew, I'm going to use that one. Thanks for from YouTube. We are totally going to use that. Mary is going to make that part of all of our TikToks because, TikTok, how many of you are on TikTok? We got TikTok streaming live right now. And, I love TikTok. TikTok's entertaining. I don't spend a whole lot of time browsing. I spend a lot of time posting comments because, the best thing about TikTok is everybody that thinks they know what they don't know is on TikTok. So when you post something up, like let me just use an example. Like I'm painting wood in my 2004, my new house that we're renovating. There's wood trim. Now the house was built in 2004, not turn of the century or not, 1800s. And we're painting the wood black because we're doing a modern Gothic Victorian. Okay, that's what we're doing. The haters that come out of the woodwork on TikTok, it's unreal. And then we give some financial advice like, hey, on TikTok, we teach people how to get all the money back for all the cars they're ever going to buy driving home. And the haters come out of the woodwork. I love it because haters are what drive the algorithm. So you just feed the monster, right? It's like kitty cats, right? You give them a little treat. You just keep giving them treats. Here's a treat. Here's a treat. Haters need hugs too. But anyway, the same thing is going on in the markets, but it's just a case of the Mondays. So anyway, let's see. Let's keep the comments coming back in. Drew, that's a good one, dude. High five to all of you on Instagram commenting on that because that's freaking awesome. So let's go on to the next topic, Stephen. What should we talk about now? You want to talk about Apple?
Yeah, sure.
All right, let's do Apple here because
this is Apple doing now. Apple's always doing something.
So Apple said Apple will postpone return to office deadlines by at least a month as COVID variants surge. So let's see. Our stocks back on the, stocks back in the rise. I'm just reading this article real quick. What's the future of commercial real estate? What can be the alternative use for that space? So essentially, if Apple, that giant company, is postponing people coming back to the office, has anyone seen Apple's offices? It's not just like small. It might as well just be its own country. And now they're basically, kind of kicking the can. And I understand. Listen, I'm not saying anything about COVID. I'm not trying to play politics here, but they're not, if they're doing that, how many other companies are going to basically eventually just say, hey, we don't need office space? And now that's already happening. I know just in our little business here, we have a lot of people working remotely, and those people will never have to come back in the office. We have pivoted on how to run businesses remotely. How many other businesses figured that out? So I want all of you to think about driving in your car to work today, or maybe you didn't go to work. Maybe you're working from your house, but just think about the days when we actually used to drive in our car to go to work, right? We got in the car in the morning, we stopped and got a coffee, or we had our mug of coffee, we're driving. What did you see? Big office buildings, right? Strip malls. You saw all these giant office spaces, right? Every one of you. But what if we don't need offices anymore? What if eventually everybody just works remotely from a home office or a central hub that they report into? Like, what's going to happen to all that commercial real estate? Like, literally, what's everybody's opinion? Let's get some feedback here. So Drew's commenting in here from YouTube. Drew says, so the real question about Apple's decision is really a function of the Delta variant, or is it because people were complaining about having come back 3 days a week? That's a good question. What does everybody think? So what does TikTok think about the Delta variant and, people actually saying that they're scared to go back to work? Are they really scared, or are they just kind of comfortable working from home? What do you all think? Because this is pretty interesting topic. And again, please don't go this show, What the F Happened, our weekly review of the market, is not political, and it is not saying any sides on COVID. I just want to be very clear about that. But we got to kind of look at what's going on out there in the markets and what's happening with companies like Apple, and then decide, what is that? So we got people coming in from Instagram. I own 3 companies, a streaming platform, comfortable working from home. So, right. People are just comfortable working from home. So now their big employer says, hey, we're gonna come back to the office 3 days a week. And whoa, Delta variant, man, no way, I'm not coming back to work. I like working from home. So, like what Drew said, is it really the Delta variant, or is it just people have gotten really comfortable working from home and they really just don't want to go back to work? And the other question is, Stephen, I want your opinion on this. Do we really need to go back to the office? Is it essential? And I'm not saying for all businesses, but for some businesses in some positions, is it essential that we actually have to go back to work? Because what I've found is that my staff are doing a hell of a job working from home, and actually sometimes being more effective because you don't have the office drama. You don't have the chitter chatter. You don't have what do they call the water breaks? I didn't know what that was. I've always no idea. But I think that's a thing.
Water cooler
what are your things? Yeah. What is your thought on that?
No, I've worked from home for a long time myself now, and it definitely takes a little adjusting, but I think people have figured it out. And now, especially with technology, with Zoom and all these different, Microsoft Teams and Google Drive and Google Teams and all that stuff. And it's just, it makes it so easy these days. And I do think it takes all that travel time. And what does traveling in a car do to people? It stresses them out. We are not naturally meant to travel 65 miles an hour fighting with other people and stop and go traffic. It's not a natural human function. So anytime you drive, you are always at an escalated state of stress. So you arrive to work already at an escalated state of stress. So it takes you a while to unwind, and then you get a little work done. And then now you got a break. So you go chat with people and catch up from the weekend, or, what's going on or coming up on the next weekend, always working for the weekend. So, you get that. So you get work done, but if you can just wake up and get your shit done, it gives you a lot more free time. Maybe you're a happier person. I mean, I know a lot of people, though, that also miss going to the office. So they miss that human element. They miss being around other people. My wife always makes fun of me. She's like, you literally don't leave our neighborhood for 4 or 5 days at a time. How do you do that? She's the kind of person that would, when she was teaching from home, my wife's a teacher, when she was teaching virtually at the very beginning of COVID, which didn't last long in Florida. Luckily, she had the whole school year last year. But when it first happened, like she was literally going insane. She needed to get back into the school, environment. So I think teaching is not a good thing for doing it virtually, but there is a lot of work that can be done virtually. But I think that big companies like Apple and Google are always going to play it safe. If there's any little bit of question, if people can get sick, or if the government or whatever is pushing this Delta variant and it's all blah 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 blah, I think they're going to follow that guideline. So they're not going to have people come back. And I think the size of the company and where it's located more than anything is really going to drive that. Obviously, Apple's a California company, so they're screwed. Those people probably can work from home forever now.
Dude, I got this for that comment, man.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And you know what's cool about that is that Steven's given that, that kind of his take on that. Everybody on Instagram and TikTok, and I got a bunch of people commenting in, like that they agree with that. Like, hey, listen, we've all adapted over the last, it's been more than a year now, to working at home. We've literally carved out parts in our house and made them our studios or our workspace or our offices. Some people have even moved into bigger houses outside of the urban area because, hey, they no longer needed to go to the office. So why the hell do I want to stay in urban, I want to get out of this city. I don't want to, hear the sirens and the gunshots and all this. I want to get out into the country and like run around a backyard and do things, ride four-wheelers, whatever you do. We've gotten used to this. So when the time does come, when all this ends, if it ever does happen, and everybody's supposed to go back to work, like why don't companies find a way to save on overhead and make it optional? Literally, maybe there's a different pay grade. If you work from home, maybe there's a different bonus structure or something. Like figure it out and make it optional for the employee to decide. Listen, here's the one thing I will always tell you. This is how we run our company and our culture. People are way smarter than we give them credit for. The government gives us credit for nothing. They think we're all freaking idiots and sheep. And, a lot of people are, but, there's a lot of really smart people. And we can make our own decisions if allowed to. So companies should just give everybody the ability, if the company can operate that way, to work remotely or to actually come in the office. Like, hey, create workspaces in the office. Don't make offices like, hey, this is Jim's office and this is Lori's office. Make workspaces. So people want to come in and have that office experience. Like, I love being in the office every day. I can't work from home. It's just not the way I'm wired. But other people love working from home. Steven's at home. He doesn't even go outside, and he lives in Florida for crying out loud. He just loves being in this office with the lobsters. But I think people should be like given the opportunity and the ability to think for themselves, to make decisions that are better for their needs, for their goals, as long as they still produce and do what they're supposed to for their job. I think from my standpoint, I think when people are left at home, like you said, Stephen, they don't have that stress of driving an hour to work, dealing with traffic, going up elevators, all that nonsense, and they get in work and it's an hour cool down time. Now people wake up, they clock in, like when they log into their computer, they're clocked in, like they can get a lot done. And the other thing I think that's unique, when people work from home, they will work more efficiently because the faster and more efficient they work, the faster they can do things from, that they enjoy at home. They can go out for a longer lunch if they put in more time in the beginning. And listen, I don't think it's a matter of trading hours for dollars anymore. I think it's a matter of how effective people actually work in the time they're working and how much they get done. What does everybody think about that? We'll wait for some of these comments. Drew said, I personally always found it interesting that most people spend 30 to 40% of their incomes on their homes, yet spend only 10 to 20% of their waking hours there, given a job situation. Yeah, okay, that's a good standpoint. It just seems, and then he says it just seems a bit odd. There's a lot of things that seem odd. And folks, for all of you coming in from TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram, this is What the F Happened, a weekly review of the markets. Thank you all for joining us. We love you guys. We love the audience. But now let's get into some controversial things. Let's talk a little bit about the markets. How many of you think that the stock market right now makes any bloody freaking sense? Does the stock market make any sense? It's literally straight up. I mean, literally, like Stephen, I want to get into this a little bit, but I'm going to draw. I don't think I've ever done this, right? Warren Buffett's most famous quote, buy low, sell high, and don't lose money, is the opposite of what everybody does, which is buy high, sell low, and lose money. So if we're going to really look at this thing, well, come on, give me a free screen here. I'll just erase this. If we're going to look at this thing, I want to get into the weeds a little bit, and I want to get everybody's opinion. So if this was COVID, a 35% drop in the market, right? The markets went down 35% in a very short period of time. But then they bounced back, right? They came back, and now it's actually more like this. Does this make any bloody sense to anyone? Does it? I want your opinion. The endless wall of notes. I don't know what that means, Drew. Clarify that a little bit. But how many of you think that the stock market
You're bored.
makes sense?
You're bored. The endless wall of notes. Your drawing board.
Oh, my drawing board? Yeah. So if this was just 2020 and this is 2021, we've got this straight trajectory. Does anyone think that this might be coming soon? When? Is it 1 year? Is it 2 years? Is it 3 years? Well, you know what? I talk to thousands of people online. We help a lot of people with our free videos that we do every Wednesday at 1 o'clock and on TikTok. And I keep talking about this. Now, I'm not saying you got to bail out of the market, but when I talk about what is to come, now, how do I know what's coming? It's so easy to see, folks. History repeats itself. Oh, this time's different. Bullshit, man. What world you live in? This time is no different. It's identical to 1926 to 1929. It's spot on. Look at the events that happened in 1926 to 29, more specifically 1929, and look at what's happening now. You see, here's what Kennedy Sr. would have said. Kennedy Sr., when he was getting his shoe shine, the shoe shine boy knew more about stocks than he did. And he took that as a sign to say, you know what? If the shoe shine boy is giving me stock advice, now might be a good time to exit. But he wasn't the only one that took that same sentiment. A lot of the big dogs got out of the market before the Great Depression hit. And a lot of them even shorted the market because they just saw the writing on the wall. And then you got to look to today. The big dogs are exiting the markets. The Warren Buffett's, selling big chunks of his portfolio. He's buying some pharmaceuticals. Bill Gates selling massive chunks. Mark Zuckerberg selling massive chunks. And all the big economists warning that this is coming. And they're even warning you and telling you that it's going to happen in the next year to 2 years. But yet every single person, when I'm out there talking about it, whether it's privatized banking or whether we're talking about, U.S. Treasury bonds and different, safe havens for where to put your money, they're like, you're an idiot or you're stupid or that makes no sense. Put all your money in small cap stocks. That was the other day. Somebody's like, put all your money in small cap stocks. One of the highest risk stocks you can put money into. Like, if the market falls like this is what a small cap stock does. It goes straight down twice as fast. But anyway, we're not even going to get into the specifics on it. Every single person needs to really look at their needs, their goals, and what they want and what they can handle. And they got to decide, like, where is my exit? Where do I exit this madness? Because this is pure madness. And, the exit might not be right now. Maybe you have a set dollar amount. Maybe you want to wait till your returns hit 20%, which is purely greedy, but that's okay. You set your goals and then you exit on those goals. But too many people, when they get to their goal, I want to make 10%. Oh, the next day it hits 10% gain. Oh, wow. Well, I'm going to wait till 20. That is exactly how you lose money. And the funniest thing, I want to talk about Monday's market drop, right? Monday's market drop. So let's just kind of go over here and let's just talk about Monday. We had, if this is the market, we had a little drop. Okay, it was about 800. We'll just call it 800 points. If you lose 800 points, then everybody yesterday when the market was up, what did it finish up yesterday, Stephen? Do you remember?
550,
500, right? So we lose 800. Okay. And then we make back 500. And then today, let's just say we're gonna speculate that we're gonna make back another 200. Like, are you even? Are you even? So actually, let's say today does 300. Let's just keep the math simple. Let's just say that. So most people would look at this and say, oh yeah, the market fell 800 points and it just came back 800 points in 2 days. Are you even? How many of you think you'd be even by the math? Let's see. Can anyone tell me, like, if you lose 800 points, and let's just say you're all in on the Dow Jones, I'm just pick one index, you lose 800 points, and then all of a sudden the market comes back 800 points, is your account back to where it was? Well, if any of you are saying no, you are 100% correct. You are not back because of the drawdown effect. You wouldn't need to make 800 points to get back to 800. You might need to make 820 points. I don't know the math, but, there's a drawdown effect. It's right here, folks. This is the drawdown effect. It just says if you lose 10%, you got to make 11. If you lose 20, you got to make 25. If you lose 30, you got to make 43. This is what people don't know. This is what people aren't talking about. people only want to talk, yeah, well, this stock has averaged a rate of return of 25%. Well, let me go into that. Stephen, you've seen this one before, right? The 25%. This is the biggest load of shit I've ever seen in my life. So how many of you would be super excited if you looked at an investment that had an average rate of return of 25%? How many of you would be into that? You'd be like, oh yeah, that's freaking awesome. The average rate of return over, let's just say 4 years. Well, let's dissect that. Let's talk about how that works. Let's say you put $100 into an investment and I make, I don't know, let's just say your advisor makes you a 100% return. How much you got? You got $200. Okay. Everybody following me? You put in 100, you made 100%. So now you have 200. Okay. The next year you put in 100, but you lose 50%. Actually here, let's just keep it all the same. You put in 100, you grew to 200. Okay. You didn't put any new money in. Your 100 grew to 200, but now you lose 50%. Okay. You lost 50%. How much did you lose? $100. You're down to 100. Okay. Follow me. Now the next year, your account starts at 100, but then you make another 100% return. Your account value is now $200. So you made 100, or you had 100, you made 100%, you had 200. You lost 50%, so your 200 went to 100. So then third year, you start with 100, but you make 100%, you're back to 200. Okay, one more year. Remember, it's a 4-year rolling average rate of return. The fourth year, you lose 50%. And this is not assuming any taxes. This is assuming no financial advisor fees, no mutual fund fees, no ETF fees. This is just raw numbers. So you lose 50%. Okay, so how much money do you now have? Well, you started with 200, but now you lost 50%. You're back down to 100. You started with 100. 4 years later, you're back to 100. But what was your average rate of return? If you guys do the math, that is a 25% average rate of return. But how much did you actually make? 0. You made nothing. You started with 100 and you finished with 100. How many of you really like average rate of returns now? Well, you know what? It's a big lie, folks. It's what you've been taught. Sorry, I didn't mean to go into that on what the F, but you guys got to wake up. And I don't care whether you like it. I don't care whether you're one of our haters. If you don't understand the math, go back to freaking school, because this is what the F happened, and that just happened. All right. Got that out of the way.
Yeah, and it's not I mean, it's pretty crazy too these days that 800 points is only a 2% drop in the Dow. Like the stock market is just so high right now. I mean, imagine 15 years ago when your advisor, Chris, if the market fell 800 points, that'd probably be a 20% drop, you know? It's just our numbers are so high now. It's wild. And the other precedent I feel like this is setting is 800-point drop. Everyone's like, do I panic? But then the next day, the next 2 days, now we're up above that again. So it's just people are going to start realizing whenever there's a drop, it's just going to rebound anyways and come right back. So they're not even going to care and they're going to stop paying attention. So whenever these things do start dropping, they're just going to start thinking in their heads, no, it's going to rebound. It's going to rebound and rebound. And then what's going to happen? Oh, it's too late. You're going to burn. You're going to lose everything. So I just feel like this is just setting really bad precedents right now.
I think it's just a big game because you know what? The markets can be driven by institutions. You saw how Reddit was able, with combining people, and doing everybody's focus on GameStop or AMC theaters. You were able to move those. Like, do you ever think that this is a big game? The market falls almost, 800 points. The next day it rallies 600. Everybody just shrugs off what happened. You know what that is called? Does everybody know why that happened? It's not fundamentals. Oh, the next day fundamentals are all of a sudden better. Forget fundamentals. Warren Buffett invests on fundamentals. Nobody's investing on fundamentals. Otherwise, you wouldn't be buying anything. So what is that? I'll tell you, it's the most dangerous thing in the markets, and it's the same freaking thing that happened in 1929. It's called investor confidence. Because of what you just said, Stephen, there is so much investor confidence because of what you just saw. Oh, it dropped 800. It was down 900 at the high point, but it'll rebound tomorrow. Oh, it did. See, I was right. You're right until you're wrong. Like Mike Tyson says, what is his? Oh God, why do I always forget these damn quotes? It's everything's good until you get punched in the face. Same thing. Everything's good until you get punched in the face. Well, do you want to wait to get punched in the face? How many of you want to like sit there and take your gamble and then, get in a ring with Mike Tyson? You're saying, well, maybe he'll hit me, maybe he won't. You want to get hit? I don't want Mike Tyson punching me. I'm sorry, I don't. So why wait? Like, just make your exit, plan a different strategy, figure out how to take your gains and keep them, because that's what the wealthy know. The wealthy don't just know how to build and become wealthy. They know how to freaking keep their wealth. Buy low, sell high, and don't lose money. Stop being stupid. Stop buying into the euphoria. But let's go into another euphoria that's been pretty interesting. And I want to talk a little bit about this one. Let me get this up on the screen, Stephen. You saw this one, but nobody else did here. So, Bitcoin's such a popular thing. And this is right on CNBC. A viral video shows Malaysian police destroying 1,069 Bitcoin mining rigs with a steamroller. Holy smokes, man. Now we're freaking using steamrollers. What are they trying to send a message out? Look at that thing. Destroying all those servers. Goodbye. Like, why? Folks, they're just trying to send a message saying, you know what? We're the government. We want control, and we're going to take control whether you like it or not. Now, using a steamroller to roll it over is a little bit drastic, but hey, whatever. They seized 1,069 Bitcoin mining rigs, and then they run them over with a steamroller. Weren't steamrollers meant to do roads? I bet you Malaysia's got a lot of really crappy roads, and people need to, really kind of start rallying up, saying, "Hey, why don't you fix the roads instead of running over these servers?" What are your thoughts on that?
That's crazy, man. I don't know anything about Malaysia, but it's, we forget how good we have it in the United States. Even when they're trying to take all our control and everything right now, it's still, we have it better than anywhere else in the world. It's still the freest country. It's still the greatest country. And it's still the most opportunity in this country than anywhere else in the world. It just, you start to realize that when you see things like that,
Yeah, it's the, as I always say, the nicest house in a shitty neighborhood. The whole world's a pretty crappy neighborhood, but it's the nicest house. But let me hit on one thing before we get to the final couple things here in this session, in this episode. But one of the things that I really want to talk about is Peloton. We all know that Peloton. You've seen the commercials, right? It's pretty interesting. Peloton now is preparing to enter the video game business. Solid business idea or not? What do you all think? Do you think Peloton entering the video game business is a good idea? Already people are working from home. That's probably not going to change. And they're going to use the same equipment for their video games like we. So now they're going to sit on their Peloton, play video games and work. Like, how many times do we need to distract people? But I mean, why do we need Peloton entering the video game world? Isn't there enough video game companies? I mean, now we got to play video games while we're working out. Do we really need that much stimulation to want to get on the Peloton and actually work out? What is everybody thinking about that one?
I think Peloton's grasping at straws. I think that they are a way overvalued company, and they're trying to prove that they can do something to create profits and last long term. But I don't know, man. Those are some expensive bikes. I know the people that have them love them. I think it's great that people are working out. I also think it might be more of a fad, and that's what they're realizing themselves. And I think they're trying to find a new business model or an additional business model to drive business. Me being somebody that does exercise, runs, I don't Peloton, but if I had one, I would, I guess. I mean, if it was a rainy day or something, but I don't want to be playing a video game when I'm working out. When you're working out and you're driving, you're sweating, like you're got your music going and you got your motivation going. You're not freaking chasing ducks or Mario around a board.
I don't know. We just got a comment from Catherine. She said, aren't kids getting sucked under those things? Well,
I mean, they will be if they think there's video games.
Yeah. Honey, where's our son? Where did he go? Did you check under the Peloton? The Peloton sucks him under there. That's probably where he's at. Oh, yep, honey, you're right. He's under the Peloton. Oh, my goodness gracious. I don't know. There's so much craziness going on out there. But, folks, you know what? All this stuff going on in the markets can just be traced back to the craziness of 1929. Read a book, watch a YouTube video about the just craziness that was going on, and watch what happened next, because it's all going to happen again.
There's one thing I have to see this week, and that is Drew Hitchcock doing a round of Dance Revolution. So if you got video of that, Drew, I got to see it, man. We're going to highlight it on our next show.
Absolutely. Dance Revolution. Drew's going to put together a special video for all of you watching What the F Happened, a weekly review of the markets where we do rants, we do raves, and sometimes we piss some people off. But that's just part of it because, hey, you don't have to agree with us. You don't have to like us, but you got to sometimes really think about it. That doesn't make any freaking sense. You're absolutely correct. And there, Drew is committed. He said, I might. Sometimes we just got to commit a little more than that, Drew. So no mights, just do, right? Do it, man. Just do it, as Nike would always say. And all right, the final thing we're going to go into is how we always wrap this show up. And this is pretty drastic, Steve. And I know we don't really put too much emphasis on this, but this one's worth talking about this week, the Fear and Greed Index. So let's get that up there and let's look at this thing. So if any of you have been following this show, you will notice that the Fear and Greed Index last week was about right here. Like, look at that sucker. Extreme fear. Ooh, I like that. So let's talk about extreme fear. I got one final thing. Bitcoin, last I just checked, which is before the show, is at about 29,000, down from a high of, I don't know, it hit a high of 60,000, but more recently it was in the mid 30s. And it's
back over 32.
Yeah, 32, and I actually went below 30. So all I can tell you is I follow a lot of economists, and there's a bunch of economists talking about Bitcoin. And I don't care whether you invest in the shit coins or, Ethereum, but let's just talk Bitcoin because it's the big one. So they all see these patterns, and now you can really see it. It's very easy that the pattern is going from 30,000, 29 to 30, up to 40,000. That's the pattern, the support and resistance levels. So if any of you are watching that and getting scared, because clearly there's some people getting scared, extreme fear. I bet you a bunch of people are bailing out of Bitcoin, selling high like they always do and losing money. But for those of you that are smart, you should really study it and look at it and say, you know what? Is this a buying opportunity? Because sometimes when everybody else is running, when there's blood in the streets, extreme fear, that's exactly when your ears should perk up and your sniffer should start looking around. Where's the deal? Where's the deal? You sniff out the deal. Well, maybe there's the deal right there. Because 29 grand, and I know it was up 5% this morning, but that might not be a bad entry point. You ride that sucker to 40 and you exit at 40 and you just keep playing that game. Now, if it goes to 60, don't go getting greedy, because you know what happens when that thing right here moves from extreme fear to extreme greed. You really got to look at your exit. When others are greedy, be fearful. And when others are fearful, be greedy. Yeah. So that is a great way to mentally prepare for what's going on, but don't play the long game right now because you will get burned. And you know what? When you're selling, guess what? I want you to remember this. When you're selling and you're scared and you're like, oh my God, I just lost so much, we're buying. Just always think about that. So if you don't want me to buy your stuff, then don't sell when it goes down. Buy when it goes down. I hope that's some good advice for people.
Well, and the other thing is what drives these markets right now, and it's all news cycles and it's all, events that are happening. There's no fundamentals anymore. So another, thing to look at if you're a Bitcoin fan, why it might be a good time to pick some up right now is we're at the bottom of that $30,000 to $40,000 range. And there's also a big conference going on right now called the B Word, which is how institutions can embrace Bitcoin. And the speakers at it are Elon Musk, who just got almost all his Tesla profits wiped out because of this last drop down to 29,000. So he's there pushing Bitcoin. We got Jack Dorsey of Twitter there pushing Bitcoin. He's a big proponent of it. I'm sure owns a bunch. So he's there trying to show how institutions can embrace it. And then Catherine Wood. So it'll be interesting to see if this conference going on right now, if that starts to drive the price up a bit right now. Again, this is all news cycle market that we're in. So we'll see.
Well, we've covered this before on What the F, and you can always check out previous episodes on my website at chrisnaugle.com, or they're all on YouTube. You can always check them out, watch them. But we did talk about that. We talked about Elon tweeting, and then all of a sudden, whatever he's tweeting about skyrockets, whether it was, Bitcoin, he said, oh, we're going to accept Bitcoin to buy our cars. Then all of a sudden he's like, oh, no, hey, guess what? We're not going to accept Bitcoin anymore because it's bad for the environment. Just like, we got a case of the Monday blues. Mondays are just a crappy day to trade the market, I guess. And that's the reason the market goes down. So now nobody's going to trade Mondays. Everybody's going to, Mondays are bad. Let's trade Tuesdays until Barron's comes out and says, hey, Tuesdays are a really bad day to trade the market. Then we're going to trade Wednesdays. And eventually, I don't even know what. Monday. It's just nonsense. It's kind of just like, folks, just take your money and just throw it out the door. Like, that's what's going on. And I hope it doesn't happen to you. But folks, I hope you enjoyed this episode of What the F Happened. Make sure you join us this afternoon at 1 p.m. Eastern for the Wealth Webinar Series. If you haven't figured out where to register at chrisnaugle.com. Steven, you got anything to say in closing?
Love it, man. Stay frosty out there.
Stay frosty out there. California, New York, Jersey, wherever the hell you're at, stay frothy. We'll catch you on the next episode.